Hi, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on where you're located. Right now, we are here on RedTeam Security Summit with a very interesting topic. It's project management in information security. We are pleased to host Mr. Jowahar Aboobacker in the RedTeam Security Summit 2021. Jowahar Aboobacker is a senior information security strategic program manager in a leading bank in UAE. He has more than 25 years of experience in executing IT and cybersecurity projects and transformation programs at global scale in financial, banking, and media sectors. He lead various technical teams in renowned news organization, Reuters, and most recently, is leading cybersecurity transformation program for an Abu Dhabi bank. We are glad to have such a wise presence at Red Team Security Summit. The stage is yours, Jowahar sir. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to all of you. Uh, this is my first Red Team Cybersecurity Summit. So I'm a bit nervous to see a lot of people. I hope a lot of people are going to join as well. I'll start my screen sharing first, just to avoid any sort of technical issues. Just let me know when you are able to see my screen.
No, sir. Have you shared the screen?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So, as Jaisal said, I work for a bank and I was not a cybersecurity, or I still don't believe that I'm a cybersecurity expert, but I call myself a project manager or a program manager. But I was fortunate to work with a lot of smart cybersecurity professionals in my current job, and I'm really amazed with what is happening. So today we will talk. I'm sure this is one of the rare sessions in this summit, talking about a non-core topic in cybersecurity. So we'll talk about project management, how we could use this adjacent area of knowledge to propel your cybersecurity career. I'm sure that there are a lot of people in this group aspiring to be professionals in cybersecurity. So let's see how we could propel your career with project management. I'm just having some technical issues to see my screen. Sorry. So I will, before we go further, I just want you to just check your poll section and answer that question. How many of you think that you are already a project manager? You can just say yes or no. I hope you are able to click yes or no on the poll section. And if you have done that, can someone from the admins release the poll result? Jaisal or Sachin? Can I see
It's
the result?
36% yes.
Very good. So I did not even expect that, but that's good. So 26% of you think that you are already a project manager. That is good. You said 26% of you are already project managers. But I say no, it is 100%. Because if you have done any of this, if you have done a holiday planning, a wedding function, some of you might have already built a house. At least you would have relocated your house, or at least we all have done some exam preparation, right? So I call all of you as project managers. So this is not something new which I'm going to talk about today. And what we are going to do today is to see how much we could become professionals in that area, how we could get it, uh, how we can get more results from the project management. So we will see what is project management, why it is required, how we could apply project management in cybersecurity. how we could develop a project management career to, as I mentioned, to enhance your cybersecurity career. And I'll try to answer your questions towards the end of the session. This is one of the stunning statistics generally get released every year by Project Management Institute, that 70% of the government and private initiatives fail to deliver. Basically, they all start with a lot of energy, enthusiasm, but at the end, it doesn't deliver what it is supposed to deliver. Either it doesn't complete it, either it is going out of budget or time. So, why do these initiatives fail? From my experience, I classified the reasons into 5 groups. If you don't know where we are going, basically you don't know your goals, you will fail. So a project fails because of lack of goals. Then if you, the customer or the business who is running it, or the customer who is basically consuming the service changes the priorities, it could go out of control. Then we all know that if there is no money or if the time is over, the project is over. And we can see the fourth point in many of our government projects, that people come late into the party and spoil it. And finally, there are a lot of external dependencies which could affect. For example, in the recent past, we had COVID pandemic, which derailed many of the projects. Now, how do we solve it? So my solution as a project manager is to apply professional project management. The recent management mantra is manage everything by projects. So what does it mean? Basically, set clear objectives and manage changes effectively. Then manage cost. Don't allow the project to run out of budget. Deliver on time and manage the dependencies, whether it is external, internal, whatever it is, try to manage it. So these are the points you could do to make sure that your projects are successful. So what does really a project manager does? It is very simply, he leads a team to deliver all the project goals within a lot of constraints. It is not a cakewalk, it is going to be a tough job. Now, in project management, the global organization which we can rely on, which is really setting the standards, is Project Management Institute. So I encourage all of you, as you learn cybersecurity, I encourage all of you to visit also occasionally Project Management Institute website and see what's happening in the project management world. Now, since it is the global standard setting body, we need to look at project and project management from that language. So this is just to show how do they see, how Project Management Institute sees a project. So we call many of the things projects in our normal layman language, but in fact project is something which is temporary and it delivers some product, service or result. Something which is operationally ongoing is not generally called a project. Similarly, project management is the utilization of various skills, tools and everything to deliver something of value to people. Each of these words which you can see here are carefully chosen. I'm not going to get into details of this, but I want you to understand or be aware that project and project management has specific meanings. Now, again, depending on the Project Management Institute, we'll see how the project management domain is divided horizontally and vertically. So when you call something a project, basically it has a life cycle. It starts somewhere and it ends somewhere, and there are things happening in between. So from a process perspective, you can see on the left hand side the initiation phase, the planning phase, execution, then monitor, control and close the project. So this is the project life cycle on the left hand side. And in terms of areas of expertise or knowledge areas, there are 10 areas which we'll get into a little detail in this slide. So basically you manage many aspects of the project. So we have classified that into 10 areas. Many of these are quite familiar to you because we all talk about it on a daily basis on the business or our work scope, cost, time, quality. All of these are to be managed by the project manager and even the project team continuously to get the project successfully delivered. So I'll talk about this integration, which is the rightmost thing. I think this is something may not be familiar. It is nothing but orchestrating the whole different areas of this knowledge areas together to make sure that the project is delivered. So basically, a project manager is kind of an orchestrator managing all of this. Human resources, communication, risk, all of these are very important. Why human resources? Because project doesn't get delivered automatically. We don't have an automation there. There are a lot of people involved. Then communication. Generally, it is said that 90% of the time a project manager spent is in communication. So it is his job to make sure that the entire people are updated and there is clarity about the project across the team. Similarly, procurement management. This is something we technical people generally ignore, and it is quite important to manage the material sourcing as well as the service sourcing, contracts, insurance, and all sort of areas of buying something for the project. And finally, the stakeholder management is very, very important. We all do that in our daily life. But what is a stakeholder in any project? It is anyone who basically influence the project positively or negatively, or who has an interest in the project. It is a stakeholder. So whenever we do cybersecurity project, we'll see a lot of time the regulators, the government agencies as stakeholders. So all of this needs to be effectively managed. So these are the 10 areas of knowledge in project management. Now, coming to cybersecurity, I'm just giving you a few examples here just to see that we could do whatever we do in cybersecurity technical areas as projects. So this is again coming from my experience managing projects in cybersecurity. I've done many of these myself as project manager, or I was coordinating some of them. So basically, when you do a patching, for example, patching is something you are changing the production environment. You could do that as a project, and I've seen that if it is done as a project, it is more effective than being done on an ad hoc basis. Now again, we are moving from on-premise world to the cloud world, and securing the cloud migration is becoming one of the key priorities for most of the CISOs or the CIOs. So cloud security migrations are some of the areas which from an information security perspective we should look for. Network security, firewall installations, all of these are typical cybersecurity projects. So let's take one of the areas, which is penetration testing, as a sample to see how do we use our project management techniques to initiate, plan, execute, and monitor, as well as close the project. So I believe penetration testing is something everyone is comfortable with in this in the audience. So that's why I chose penetration testing. It is not rocket science. We'll see how we initiate something. So when you start the penetration testing, you need to get the proper authorization to do that. You don't just go and do it, right? So basically, to ensure that there is an authorization, then you need to get the necessary approvals from the people who will be impacted from the management of the target organization. And you need to inform applicable stakeholders. You don't need to inform everyone, but you will have to inform the right people before we start. So these are the initiating steps of a typical penetration testing project. Now, planning, you can see the busy slide here. This is what a project manager does most of the time in his project, is to ensure that there is planning. When we are technical people, we generally are very much focused on doing. So we get into doing immediately, but planning is one of the most important parts of project management. So what do we plan for a penetration testing? We basically ensure that the technical approach is finalized. We see what kind of report needs to be produced in the beginning itself. We agree on that. We ensure that there is a breakdown of the work which we have listed, and then we are put into a schedule. And finally, we will see who will do what. Basically, when there are multiple people who are doing the project, who we need to decide these things. So once we are clear on all of these areas, the doing gets far easier. Now, this is the doing part, which we don't need to be told. as technical people, this is where we are all focusing. But from a project management perspective, not just doing the technical work is not enough. You need to make sure that it is progressing within the schedule, within the budget, within the timeline, and it is happening within the scope, that there is no one changing what we are doing. So all of these things are done during the execution phase. And finally, you ensure that the quality of the project is there, the product or whatever you are delivering, there is a continuous assurance on quality. Finally, when we close the penetration testing, what do we generally do? We definitely produce a report. We share this with the designated audience, but most of the time we just stop. We don't announce it. We don't properly obtain the sign off. And I've seen many problems because people just close the project and get out, and then there is no clear sign off. So this is something we all should focus to get the proper confirmation from the right teams. And we need to declare that the project is completed to the right people. And very, very importantly, something which we all forget is to celebrate the achievements with the team. Now, we talked about how we could apply cybersecurity, project management in cybersecurity. Let us look how we could leverage project management to prepare your cybersecurity career. Now, we need to learn, right? So what do we learn? From a technical learning perspective, I've identified three areas which you could focus on. First of all, it is the core project management itself. So I've told about Project Management Institute as the global reference or standard organization for the project management. So something which we all can look forward to is to see what is PMP, or Project Management Professional Certification. So at least try to visit this site and see what do they cover in this area. Again, please understand that project management is not a technical certification. It is more of a business certification or a cross domain certification. So learning PMP, you could do many areas, not only technical cybersecurity, you could get into civil, get into many other industrial areas of project management. Now, we all touch, as project managers, as cybersecurity professionals, we touch technical systems. And knowing technology, information technology is very important. But what I would recommend from a project management perspective is to get into the ITIL area. Basically, just try to see how we could get certified in the ITIL Foundation, because it talks about change management, service management. These are the areas generally people take it for granted and get into trouble. And the third area is the information security itself. I'm sure all of you have already learned something on the information security or in the process of learning. I don't need to talk about it. But what I would like to remind is one of the certification, especially the CISM certification, has a lot of focus on project management, especially the information security program development and management area is something which is of very, very interest to me as a project manager. And this is something, if you want to become a project manager, get into CISM. Now, it is not only about technical knowledge. It's more about the soft skills you need to develop in order to get into a higher levels of career anywhere, actually. So I would recommend whoever wants to get into management, business, get into all of these areas. Focus, sharpen all these areas. Communication, you need to be very good in presenting. You need to be good in written communication, and as well as influencing people to get things done without authority. Again, leadership, these are communication and leadership, these are common areas. You need to know how to build the team, how to motivate the team, how to take decisions. All of those sort of leadership skills all of them will be adding value to both the project management career or even management career or a business career. And finally, looking at the business aspects, project managers are very fortunate to connect both the technical teams and the business. So knowing the business language is quite important from a project management perspective, as well as knowing something additional knowledge on the budgeting and financing also will greatly help to get there. Now, we talked about all of these things, and I'm going to conclude. So as I conclude, I request all the cybersecurity professionals here, especially the youngsters, to expand your horizons. Don't just be where you are. Look at the business aspects of your project, of your work, what you're doing, and see how project management is working there, how to execute your business priorities in an organization. Secondly, look at your cybersecurity activities which you are doing, which your company or organization is doing, and see how project management approach is going to help you to manage them effectively as well as to deliver the results we want. And finally, look at project management as a complementary knowledge area to drive your careers to the next level. That's it. I'm very thankful to all of you to listening this one. And if you have any questions, please ask now, or you can take down my numbers, details, contact details, and I'll be very happy to help you in any sort of questions you may have. Jaisal, do we have any
Thanks for
questions?
the wonderful session. Yeah. Audience, do you have any questions? There is one question that what are the contract type you use for engaging with contractors?
Okay, very good question. So,
Yeah.
when we say contracts, there are different types of contracts which you may get into, because it depends on what kind of material or technology or service you are going to buy. So what happens is, I've seen that most of the time the organizations, especially the grown-up mature organizations, have templates for different types of contracts. So for example, you're buying a software, then you have a system acquisition contract. You're buying a service, basically a service as managed service. We have MSSP in our SOX, right? So if that is the case, you have a managed service contract. Then you have outsourced contracts. So there are various types of contracts, and it depends. So that's the answer. So if you have any further secondary questions to that one, I'll be happy to answer. So there are different types of contracts. So there is another question. Project management on automation basis, how is it possible technically, and real-time example or anything? Will you be able to clarify, because is it projects on automation or automating project management? So probably I'll take it like this. So if it is automation projects, so basically anything can be a project. So it doesn't need, okay, making project automated. Okay, very good, very good. So I haven't seen anything to make project automated 100%, because this is one of the areas I don't think we will not be stopping depending on human beings. So but there are tools, or there are technology available to manage the projects effectively. So we could talk about the enterprise project management servers, basically which uses the Microsoft project to basically do a lot of things, the workflows automatically within the project management. But there is nothing to really automate the entire project management, because this is a human centric basically area of work. So the question is, can you mention anyone that we students can access and use and see? All right. So I can think of Microsoft project to start with. Basically, one of the basic tools is Microsoft project. But I can see that Jira is basically a tool which generally I can see being used in the IT industry nowadays to not necessarily manage the project, but to manage the entire workflow. So these are the tools I'm sure many of you must be already using, but having understanding on the Microsoft project, Primavera, and Jira will help. There is another question: what are the efficient methodology in cybersecurity project management? Very good question. So, see, methodology of project management. So, if I look at from a overall methodology, we classify the delivery of projects in two different ways. One is a waterfall way, one is the agile way. So I will talk about that, and if you want more, we can you can expand your question also. So what is waterfall way? I think we all talk. I mean, many of us have already learned that as part of our computer science education. That in software development, we develop something like completely and then deliver. We don't release anything before we completely develop something. So this same thing is applicable to project management also, that you deliver the project in its entirety rather than delivering in portions. So something which I practice as well as in our organization we practice is, don't deliver in waterfall. Try to deliver everything in agile way. Basically, it is to see how we could break down the project into different pieces and see how we could deliver value continuously. That means software, if you are developing something, software, you try to deliver what the business demands fast, what we could deliver fast, the quick win. So I think this is one of the effective and efficient way of project management. And there is one more question: what are the activities to perform during closing the project? I think I mentioned that already in the presentation. So basically, it is to when you close, you need to ensure that you have closed it. So what is the closure criteria? The primary criteria is to make sure that the work is completed. That means you are delivering what you are supposed to deliver. So basically, it's just to use a checklist to see whether your deliverable criteria is met, and then your quality criteria is met. You need to make sure that what you are delivering is acceptable to the customer according to your scope document or whatever has been agreed in the beginning. And one of the things I will always do is to celebrate. I think that is the key area we all forget, is to make sure that we celebrate the successes. So I believe it is a project manager's responsibility to celebrate the success of the project and reward the right people, not necessarily monetarily, but at least by paying the gratitude. I think I have done with the questions which came in the chat Q&A. Jaisal, you have any other question? I think there is one more.
No, one more.
In each second attacks rapidly happening, how the project management is applicable? Okay, so this is interesting question. So, but when there is an attack, don't wait for project management. That is my suggestion. But I think doing things in a method will definitely help you in any sort of incident or attack or any sort of problem, because the whole incident management, the way I understand, is approaching a problem with a method. So having a project management approach in your life definitely will help you to succeed in an attack also. But again, when you have an attack and when you are basically doing various process of the incident management, if there is something to be installed or delivered, again, try to apply a micro project management there and try to get the results. So this is what I would say, but don't complicate it. Defend the attack. That's what I would say.
Great. Any more questions?
Don't worry. I mean, I have my email address and the contacts are with Jason. So if you have any follow-up questions, I'll be available. I'll be happy to answer them.
Yes, you can connect us, and I hope you might taken notes of the contacts of Mr. Jowahar Aboobacker. So, Jowahar sir, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wonderful session.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.